What's up guys, Commander Alex here, and today we are going to be playing some Vainglory, and I'm going to be going over the newest hero coming to the fold, Blackfeather. So first off, let's just sort of take a look at Blackfeather. Obviously you can see him here, he's pretty cool, he's like a little fencer dude. I really like the model on him, and he actually has a really fun kit. So we're just going to hop into things here, look at his kit. I'm going to go through the actual ability descriptions first, then we're going to see what they look like, and then finally I'll leave off with some thoughts and some tips on him, since I have been playing him a little bit on the PvE. So first things first, let's look at his heroic perk here. Basically his heroic perk is that whenever he hits people, he gets these little stacks. They're like little hearts, and then when it's a second hit, it'll actually break the heart. And once you get 5 of these broken hearts on somebody, basically you start doing really good damage to people. Now you can only get 5 broken hearts on people, and you can only get 1 broken heart on animals, or not animals, on minions. So you can only get 1 broken heart on, you know, any random minion, though you can get 5 broken hearts on the gold mine, the kraken, and the minion mine. So if you're trying to take objectives, you can still get those stacks and really do a lot of damage. The other thing that you have to understand is that he also actually has an energy system that's different from normal energy in this game. It's capped at 100, it regens very quickly on its own. Also, you can get some back from your certain abilities as well as from auto attack. So keep that in mind. You don't have to worry about buying energy with him, but cooldown reduction is useful on him. So buying a clockwork might not be that bad of an idea, but we'll get to that in the build section of the video. First off, let's look at Faint of Heart. That's his A ability, and this is something that for the most part I would recommend you max. Now it obviously depends on what you're going with. If you're going for like a support Blackfeather, you're probably not going to max this ability, although there's definitely some reasons why you would want to, but really it's all situational with him. If you want that AoE damage, max your B and your ultimate. If you want that assassin potential, max your A and your B. If you want that support potential, max your probably your A and your B. It's kind of iffy on that one. It depends on which one you want to go for. But basically, depending on your playstyle, depending on your build, depending on the game that you're in, you can actually play him a lot of different ways. But I like playing him as a CP assassin, so I like maxing his A and B and leaving his ultimate at 2 points. And the reason for that is that his A actually has an execute that we're going to be looking into in a little bit here. But first off, let's get into it. So first off, let's just read through it here. Blackfeather lunges to his target and basic attacks. For the next 4 seconds, the target leaves behind a rose trail that grants Blackfeather and his allies move speed when moving through it. When this ability is used against a target with full heart thread stacks, those are the stacks that we talked about in his passive, as shown by broken hearts, it will, can we keep reading here? Execute the target for bonus true damage based on the target's missing health capped against non-heroes. So basically what this means is that whenever you use this ability, you're going to dash your opponent, you're going to auto attack, you're going to get a little bit of a buff as well as a move speed buff from the rose trail, which is really cool. And that also applies to your allies, and this is the support aspect. This is why you can play him as a support, and one of the reasons that is. But then also, this cool execute mechanic. Basically, you want to use this either as an initiator or as an execute. You don't want to use it in the middle of a fight because it has a dash, which is its initiating component, but it also has this execute component, which basically means that if you have those 4 full heart throb stacks on somebody and you hit it, it's going to do a lot of damage, true damage, and they're probably going to die from it. So I like using this ability as an initiator, and then with cooldown reduction, you should be able to actually at the end of a fight use this as an execute as well. So we'll get into that with combos later, but basically you can use this if you have cooldown reduction probably twice in a fight, unless it's, you know, a super quick fight, in which case either you're already dead or the enemy team's already dead. It's not like it was a really close fight in that case. Moving on here, we also have On Point. That's his B ability. I like maxing this again if I'm playing a CP assassin. Also, I would probably say for support because it can proc on hit effects, meaning that if you have a Shiver Steel and you hit it on all 3 enemy teammates, you can actually get a 3-man Shiver Steel off, which is it's really cool, but that's kind of beyond the point here. Moving on, let's actually talk about what On Point is. Basically, you get a 1.2 second barrier that scales with 15% of his bonus health and recovers 35%, not 35%, just 35 flat focus. The amount of focus recovered is further increased with 2% of his max energy and 50% of his energy regen. This just means that buying regen on him and energy as a whole won't be horrible, like it is still useful. Buying a clockwork is slightly useful, though I wouldn't say it's the best thing in the world. It's just really not something you need on him. Energy is not an issue with Blackfeather. And then moving on here, if you overdrive it, On Point gains increased range. So basically, you want to take the overdrive on this for a couple reasons, and in almost any case. The reason is you get extra range. This gives your melee character pretty much like scarf-like poke. It's a pretty large range, especially for a melee character. So this is going to be, if you're playing him in lane, pretty much all you use all the time. If you're playing him in jungle, this is your AoE damage when you're clearing, as well as in a team fight. If you can line up a 3-man on point, you're going to be sitting pretty for the rest of the team fight. Also, I like taking this even as an assassin because it gives me that 15% bonus health, and that means that even though I'm squishy, I still have a little bit of beefiness that means that they can't just pop through me as easily. So I really like taking the on point in pretty much any scenario. The only reason I would say maybe don't take it is if you're going for like a really situational sort of build and team that would require the initiation or execute a Faint of Heart and the AoE damage of Rose Offensive rather than the poke and the barrier and all of the good stuff from on point. So honestly, I would say almost always max on point, but if you can find a reason why not to, then, you know, go for it. Finally here, we have Rose Offensive. That is his C ability or his ultimate, and basically Blackfeather cuts through his opponent's basic attacks, all enemies along his path during the dash. Blackfeather is immune to negative effects and takes greatly reduced damage, and this ability has 2 charges. So basically, Rose Offensive is going to be, in most cases, your initiator if you don't have Faint of Heart. Now, you probably want to use Faint of Heart in a lot of cases just because it's on a shorter cooldown, it takes less energy, it's just easier to use, but this has that AoE aspect. So if you can fit like a 3-man Rose Offensive onto an enemy team, again, you're going to be doing really well because A, you get a bunch of reduced, basically you can't take negative effects and you get reduced damage. So as an initiator, you're going to be taking a lot of damage, but if you get this Rose Offensive going, you suddenly don't take as much damage even as an assassin, which is a really good thing. Also, this has 2 charges, so if you want to go for that just AoE blow everybody up, you can Rose Offensive in, on point, Rose Offensive out, and assuming you had enough damage, they should all be dead. Kind of unlikely to happen, but it does have that potential, which is why I say you should keep that in mind. I don't max Rose Offensive just because I feel like even though it's great range on it, you can use it to dash over walls if you really want to, it's just not as good of an ability as on point, and it doesn't have the damage, I think, singularly as Faint of Heart. And since I play him as a CP assassin, I like the Faint of Heart execute damage more. Alright, so now that we've got all the abilities out of the way, let's take a look at what they actually look like. So first off, here is your on point. Again, this is max. It is a very large range. Maybe not Scarf-like, but it's substantial, guys. You have to admit, for a melee character, this is pretty insane. Right over here, I can hit Kraken, and it does quite a bit of damage. Now, keep in mind, I have a little bit of CP built, but it doesn't take a lot of CP for this to really sting. He's one of those characters that just base stat-wise does quite a bit of damage. Alright, so we're going to let Kraken reset there, and now we're going to try our A ability. Now, Faint of Heart, basically Faint on Heart? What is it called? Yeah, it is Faint of Heart. So basically Faint of Heart is this dash as well as a little bit of a move speed boost and some other cool little stats thrown in there. So you use it and poop, there you go. And the cool thing about this is that it does proc things like Aftershock and Alternating Current. So you can use it as basically an initiator with a little bit of burst, and then you can go into your other abilities with it. Now, again, you can use it as an execute. Let's get those full stacks. Hopefully we don't die here. I don't have a lot of defense. And there you go. So, hey, I didn't die. That was the execute damage there. Not a lot, really didn't do much, but it was enough to kind of show off the ability here. And finally, let's get a health pop so we don't die. Get some energy as well. We'll pop a fountain. And we're going to be taking a look at Rose Offensive, or Offensive Rose, whatever the hell it's called. I don't know the ability names. I've just been playing him for a little bit, guys. But basically, it has a fairly small range, but it does do AoE damage. So you think maybe one of the better ways to show this would actually be to look at it on these double minions over here so you can see it hit both of them. I'm also going to do it this way because then you can see how it can go over walls. So I missed, but there you go. It did AoE damage, and if you're right up against the wall here, you can actually go over walls with it. So you can use it as an escape, which is really cool. Maybe not the most effective use for it, but if you're in a sticky situation, he's very mobile. He has a slow with his B, he has a dash with his A, and he has an untargeted dash with his ultimate. So basically all of his abilities in some way either impair the enemy's movement speed, give him distance or move speed like his A, or just allow him to dash wherever he wants. So he's very mobile, very slippery, and honestly, I see him being one of those characters that maybe doesn't end up winning the game, but definitely doesn't die in the middle of a game. Like, if a fight goes wrong for his team, assuming he's smart enough to get out, he's gonna be able to get out, which is really cool. All right, so now that we've gotten a look at all of his abilities here, let's take a look at some combos. So first off, the combo that I use most often is basically Faint of Heart into auto attack into on point, into a bunch of auto attacks until you have full heartthrob stacks, and then you can use your Fan of Heart for the execute damage, and for the most part, that'll be able to kill people, assuming you're going for a CP build. Now, you can also throw in your ultimate if you want a little bit of extra damage. Usually, this is a single target, like 1v1 sort of fight, so you wouldn't usually use that in a 1v1, but again, you can use your ultimate as an engage if you feel that it's more useful than your Fan of Heart, or if you don't have cooldown reduction. So, here we go, we're gonna go for it. Fan of Heart in, auto attack. And the reason that I use the auto attack there is because the auto attack actually does reset the animation, so I can get my ability off a little bit quicker there. And you see, I did quite a bit of damage to Kraken. Again, I am, kind of cheating since I have all these items that I didn't pay for, but that's the general ability. Now let's look at an AoE combo. Let's see if we can find the enemy team's bots in here, and we're gonna see what we can do. Basically, an AoE combo is gonna be using, okay, so here we go, we got him. You're going to use your ultimate. Supposed to hit a 2-man ultimate. Come on, bots. They don't want to fight me. Alright, so there we go. We got a 2-man ultimate on point. Pop my fountain so I stay alive here. And basically, at this point, what you want to do is you want to get your stacks. Now, the reason that he's really good in long-term fights is because of his heartthrob stacks. They give him actual on-hit effect damage. I don't think I said that when I was explaining the ability, but basically, for every heartthrob stack, your auto attacks deal a little bit of extra CP damage, and that's really, really good. So what you want to do is you want to ultimate in, then you want to on point, and that's going to give you a lot of AoE damage, especially if you have like a slow, like a Frostburn or a Shiver Steel. That'll proc that to the entire enemy team, which is really, really good. But from there, you're just going to auto attack until you have full stacks, then just go off with your Fan of Heart. You're just going to just jump from one enemy to another, instantly executing them one after another, and just get those resets, keep going, and assuming you do it right, you should be able to just wreck the enemy team. Now, the one really big downside of Blackfeather, I think he's very, very easy to screw yourself over with, I guess is the best way to say it. Basically, he has a lot of damage. He has this barrier that makes him feel very strong at times, and you can get kind of cocky from that. He has damage reduction from his ultimate. He has a barrier from his B. He has a lot of damage, a lot of movement speed. He seems like this absolutely amazing character, and then you accidentally try to go for like a 1v3 or a 1v2 when the enemy team's fed, and you get wrecked, because even though he is this super, super mobile, slightly tanky, very damaging character, he's very easy to get overconfident with. So I think that's kind of the one weakness I've found with him. Obviously, when people play him at a high level, they're going to figure out counter picks to him. They're going to figure out counter play to him. They're going to figure out what skill is best with him. If he's better in a support role, CP carry, weapon power carry, crit carry, whatever it is, they're going to figure out the best builds for him. But this is just my opinions on him, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed the video. So this is going to be the end of the video, and as always, become a lieutenant today. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. See ya.